Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Miss Elise and I'm so excited to be here with you today for this STEAM adventure. Today we're gonna get really excited and pumped with some sports inspired activities, and we're gonna create our very own foosball table that you can use over and over again with all your friends and family. So are you ready to get started? All right, so now we're gonna start our STEAM adventure. Because we're inspired by sports today, we're gonna start with some cool stretches, because every athlete knows that you need to get moving and ready before you start on any kind of adventure. All right, so let's get started. I want you to stretch up to the sky. Pretend like you're reaching for the stars, just like that. Awesome. Now we're gonna do some side stretches. So just back and forth, like that. And our last stretch, I just want you to go for it. Let it all out and shake your body just like that. All right, awesome. Are you all ready to get started? Now that we're stretched, we're gonna get right into making our awesome foosball table. Let's go. All right, so before we get started, I wanted to share with you the supplies that we're gonna be using today. A lot of the supplies you can find around your house, or you can go out and get them for really inexpensively. So I wanted to show you before we get started so you have an idea of what you need. The first one you're gonna need is a shoebox. And for the shoebox, you don't need a lid. And you'll also need some kind of round object or bead. Just make sure that it rolls, and you can use either like a big bead like this, or the other one I like to use is like a small bouncy ball. That's kind of fun if you have one of those lying around. Another material that you'll need is a ruler, and this is really important because we're gonna be doing a lot of measuring today, so you wanna make sure you have a ruler handy. You're gonna need some skewers or wooden sticks. You could even use chopsticks that you get from like a takeout meal or something like that. The only rule with your sticks is that you want to make sure that they're longer than your shoebox. So when you're looking at your shoebox, just make sure they're longer on both sides, because these are going to be kind of like your hand movers when you're creating your foosball table. You want to make sure that you have a couple different markers. It doesn't matter what colors you have, just make sure that you have two different ones. You can use a hole punch if you have one lying around. I'll also show you a different way to punch your holes if you don't have one of these at home. Some scissors are helpful just to cut out some of the squares that you're gonna need in your foosball table. And then another option for your players when you're creating your foosball table is you could use popsicle sticks if you have those lying around, or you can use different clothespins. So either one of these will work for your players. You also want to make sure that you have some tape around so you'll be able to put them to the sticks. All right, so we're gonna get started by creating our foosball table. And the first step is you wanna grab your shoebox and we're gonna make our goals. So this is gonna be the little square where you can kick out the ball to your player side and hopefully win the game. So when you're creating your goals, you wanna make sure that you know two things that you're gonna measure with. So one is the length of your box, which is the longer side that you see here. And the other is the width of your box, which is usually the shorter side that you see on the other side. So right now we're gonna be working with the width of our box. And when you grab your box, you also wanna grab your ruler, and you're gonna measure the width across the side of your box like this. So it looks like mine is about 5.5 inches. So half of 5.5 inches is 2 3/4. So I'm gonna mark that on my box. So it's just about here. Awesome. And that measuring half of your width is gonna give you your middle point, and that's gonna be important when you're measuring other parts of your box. Now from that, you're gonna measure 2 inches from the bottom to the top. So alongside where you marked your middle point. So you see the little dot I have there? You're gonna make one more right up there. Awesome. And then from there, you're gonna just draw a square around it like that. So now that you have it traced and marked out like that, you're gonna grab your scissors and cut it out. And once you cut it out from your shoebox, it's gonna look just like this. So you have your little square goal. All right, so now we're gonna do step 2 of our foosball table. And for this activity, for this part of the activity, we need the length of our box. So the length, remember, is the longer side, and that's what we're gonna be working with. You wanna get your middle point again. So if you remember when we measure for the first part of our goals, you're gonna take your ruler and measure across your box just like this. And so mine is about 11 inches. So I want to get half of that. So 11 divided by 2, 5.5, right? So we're going to mark that on our box. Using that little dot we made, we're going to measure 3 inches from the bottom up. So go ahead and put your ruler there. I'm going to mark that up here. Awesome. All right, so this is going to be your middle point of your box. I'm going to make it bigger so I can see it. And from there, we're gonna do a couple more measurements. So I want you to, from that middle point, you're gonna measure 1.5 inches to your right, just like this. And you're gonna mark it on the same line. Measure 1.5 inches to your left. And mark it. And then we're gonna do one more measurement. I know it's a lot of measurements, but I want you all to learn more about what measuring is. And this is like a really important part of engineering, right? You have a lot of measurements before you get to your final object that you build. All right, so now you have all your little dots going across. And basically, once you have those dots, you're gonna go in with your hole puncher and punch each of them one by one. So at the end of it, your hole punches will look something like this. I already have my sticks in, but you can kind of see on the side, you're gonna have all your different punches. So you wanna make sure to do that on the side that I just showed you, and then flip it around and do it on the other side as well. All right, so now that we have both sides of our box punched from the last step, we're gonna put in our skewers or chopsticks or wooden sticks, whatever you have with you. We're gonna put them into the holes. So you can stick it through one side, onto the other, just like that. And these are gonna be our 2 different teams. All right, so it's gonna look just like that. All right, so our next step is we're gonna create our teams. So for the teams, you're gonna either need 5 clothespins, just like this, or you can use 5 popsicle sticks. And you're gonna need 5 for each team, so a total of 10. When you're using the clothespins, you're gonna color them in whatever color you want. You can also decorate them, put a team name on them, whatever you wanna do. And it's super easy to get the color on there, just like that. And I've already created some of my teams, and to make it a little more fun, I added faces to mine. So I created these little faces out of paper, and I just put some tape on them so they each have a different face. So you can see I have my orange team right here, and I have my blue team right here. Now, if you're doing it with popsicle sticks, it's gonna be the same idea, but you can, if you have colored popsicle sticks, you don't have to color them in, obviously, or you can just make like a little face directly onto your popsicle stick like that. So those are the 2 different ways you can add your teams to your foosball table. And once you have them all ready to go, you're just gonna add them onto your foosball table. So usually in the back rows, I'll put 3 players. So all you do is just stick them on like that. If you're using the popsicle sticks, you would do the same thing, except instead of clipping them on, you'll just grab a piece of tape like that and put it on the back. So that's also gonna work when you're moving your stick like that. All right, we've done it. We've made our foosball table. So as you can see, I have both of my teams ready to go and ready to play. I wanted to mention some cool terms when you're playing foosball to remember. So when you're moving it back and forth, we have kinetic energy going on, and that's moving the ball from one side to the other. When we just have it here, we have a lot of potential energy. So thinking about what kind of motion will be happening when we're moving our game. And then these are also considered levers. So those are all really fun and cool science terms that you can remember when you're playing foosball with your friends. And now that we have our two teams ready to go, we're gonna throw in our little soccer ball and play. So just like that, you can hit it back and forth with your friends, and we have our own foosball table. All right, everyone, thanks so much for joining me on this awesome STEAM adventure. I hope you created a cool foosball table and that you use it to challenge all your friends and family. I wanted to say, go you for taking this time to create an awesome project, and I hope you'll get inspired to create more STEAM activities. If you want more specific details about how to follow along the steps for this activity, I have the instructions online. You can download them off of our website from the Anaheim Public Library. I've also created these awesome STEAM badges that you can download and color in. After finishing this activity, you can choose any of the badges because you've accomplished being an artist by creating your own characters. You've learned more about engineering and science through creating, and you've also used math to measure. So you are the ultimate STEAM champion, and I hope you use these badges to remind yourself that. All right, everyone, thanks for joining me, and I want to remind you at the Anaheim Public Library, we have so many awesome STEAM-inspired books where you can find out more activities and keep creating and learn all about the different parts of the activity that you learned about today. And other than that, make sure that you check out our Facebook and Instagram. On there, we're gonna have more STEAM adventures like this where you can keep learning and continuing to grow your knowledge of all things STEAM. Thanks for joining me today. I'm super excited to have spent this time with you, and I hope you get inspired and keep creating. Bye.